on, people? Well, one of my great viewers, I love my little investigators out there. They're always sending me things. I've already deleted the email. I don't know who sent this to me. I don't know where I got it. I made a copy, and I'm putting it on my website. And I'll put a link in the description if you want to review it. So here is the arrest report for Colonel West's wife, drunk driving. The horrible display of recklessness that she did by weaving over center lane. I'm going to go through this and we're going to read it. It's not that long, but it may take a little bit because I'm going to explain what's going on for those that may not have been in the system. So it looks like a warrant for arrest. It looks like maybe they had to go in front of a judge to get a warrant to arrest. I'm not sure. I mean, when we did DUI arrest, a DUI arrest is a probable cause arrest. There are two types of arrests. There's a warrant arrest and there's probable cause arrest. Probable cause arrest is based on those set of circumstances that would lead a reasonable person to believe that a crime has been committed and that this person you're arresting committed the crime. And then if it's a felony, that has to be reviewed. So this is a felony case. So I don't know if they're using a warrant now as the same way as a review. What we used to do is when we arrest somebody for a felony, we just do a probable cause statement that says, here's why. And this is what I'm reading here. This is a probable cause statement saying, this is why I arrested a person. This is why I think she committed a crime. Although this is a very weak probable cause statement. Hell, I've gotten called in the middle of the night for less than, I've arrested a parolees with freaking weapons and drugs. And, at 2 or 3 in the morning, I arrest him at 11. I go home, go to bed at 3 in the morning. I get a call from the jail saying, hey, the judge didn't like your PC. You either need to update it or they're letting him out. So, that's for a real crime. This is for a freaking DUI. We're locking up a 60-year-old woman with her grandson trying to charge her with a felony with no criminal history. And this PC doc is weak, but yet a judge signed it, no problem. So my guess is, well, and that's another problem with this affidavit. At no point in this affidavit does it say that anybody realized that this was Colonel West's wife, a candidate for governor of the state of Texas. Well, let me rephrase that. A conservative candidate for governor. And nowhere in here is that mentioned. Now, some people will go, well, that shouldn't matter, Rick, and it doesn't need to be in BS. If I arrested somebody who was either connected to a senator, a congressman, a DA, a sitting judge, anything that could be a high-profile case, I would put in there. At this point in investigation, it was brought to my attention that this person was a high-profile whatever. In this case, I would have put hey, the sergeant walked in at about so-and-so in the middle of the investigation or while at the hospital or while transporting. At some point in time, when we figured out it was Colonel West's wife, I would have put in there, at such and such time, Sergeant so-and-so notified me that this person was the wife of a potential governor candidate of the state of Texas. And I was told to ensure to follow all procedures and make sure everything, the T's were crossed or whatever. Whatever I was told, I would have put in here. So everybody knows that I'm not trying to hide and I'm not trying to be secret and I'm not trying to claim, oh, I didn't know. It was just, no. Because at that point in investigation that I found out, if anything changes or my actions after that absolutely means something because I now have more information on what I'm basing on. If I did anything different after I found out, that ought to be transparency. It ought to be clear. It's the facts. We're not trying to hide or cover up. And nowhere in here does it ever mention. So I have to believe either they never knew that this was Colonel West's wife, or they knew and they never put it in here because they didn't want people to know what was said, who told them, how they found out, and what they did difference because of it. That's what's important, and that's not what's covered in here anywhere. So to me, that implies, again, it's not necessarily that you're being inappropriate. It's the perception. When I worked for the DA's office, that was a big thing. Look, doesn't matter if we're doing anything wrong. What matters is, are we given the perception that we're doing something wrong? So we need to go far and above. Besides not doing something wrong, We need to make sure we don't create the appearance that we're doing something wrong. And that wasn't done here. It's all, smoke and mirrors. But anyway, it says right here, let's see. On this date, the Sheriff Peace Officer, in the name of the state of Texas, Sheriff Peace Officer, State of Texas, you are hereby commanded to take the body of Miss West, called the accused, and him safely. So, what the hell? Let me read this slowly. It's freaking crazy crap. What are we talking about here? You are hereby commanded to take the body of. And that's Angela West. Hereinafter, called the accused. Okay, so the accused. And him safely. Maybe she's a her? Are they saying that Angela's a him? So, again, this is what happens when you have paste and cut warrants. And I've done this. I mean, it's a mistake, but it shows a lack, you miss something. And it doesn't look good. And it doesn't reflect good. And it shouldn't happen. I mean, I've sometimes, changed the code and put the wrong number or added the wrong number, which made it some other crime or whatever. And it was, somebody caught it. I put DUI with a child. Everybody knows that PC 49.055B is DUI with a child. However, if the cop would have accidentally typed 49.45 and that ends up being sexual molestation of a child, somebody would catch that and go, wait a minute, we're talking about a DUI. The affidavit is about DUI. Obviously, this is a misprint. So that can happen. So they put him here safely and keep so that he may be dealt with according to the law. It's not a he, it's a woman. Are you telling me that Dallas I want to have 1,400 bathrooms because people are too stupid to figure out which bathroom to use, that somehow they're not going to be offended that you call a woman a he? Or maybe that was done as a sleight of hand just to embarrass her or to say we were confused and we thought she was a man. Or maybe we can imply that somebody will report that she said she wanted to identify as a man. Maybe that's why it was done. Was it an accident or was it intentional? Again, we don't know because they're not even saying that they knew it was his wife. All right. To hold the accused to answer in the state of Texas against the laws, of this section of which criminal offense he is accused. I mean, this just really shows that the judge is so stupid that they can't even figure out Angela Michelle West is a male. Really? I mean, is the judge that stupid, or maybe she can't ask? Maybe we're just so politically correct that we can't go, Angela sounds like a female name. Is this a male or a female? Or maybe in the whole report down here where we see date of birth, sex, female, maybe the judge who's signing this warrant could say, here we got her as female, here we got her as a male. Maybe we should make this legal court action to put somebody into custody. Maybe we should make sure it's correct. Maybe the sergeant that wrote this could have done that. Maybe the sergeant that reviewed it. Rick, it's not their fault and all cops are great and they're all heroes. All right, whatever. All right, so that's just, they're going to charge a person $4 for arrest, 2 for confinement, 2 for release, 2 for, what the hell? Fees. So it looks like she has a Florida driver's license. I'm sure somebody's going to bring that up. Why they put Florida? I'm assuming she has a Florida driver's license. I thought they used to live in Florida. So, but again, whatever. She has a Florida driver's license. It doesn't matter. All right. Before me, the undersigned authority. So this is Sergeant Michael. I don't know if this is the same sergeant that was on scene or if this is a different sergeant. But again, the fact that Miss Harris, because this is information based on a fellow peace officer of the city of Dallas who personally participated in the investigation. So this is the female that did the warrant, but the sergeant's writing it. Why? Can't the female write it? Are they not competent? Did the sergeant write it because they knew it was Colonel West's wife? Did they change normal procedure because they knew this woman is incompetent and if she did it, she would screw it up, so a sergeant had to do it? Why is a sergeant writing this when the officer did all the actions and the sergeant didn't do shit but allow it? Now, those are just some questions, people. I'm telling you. Rick, why are you picking all the cops? They're all heroes and you just hate them. I don't hate anybody. I'm just telling you. Government has a huge amount of power and responsibility, and they ought to follow the rules and the law, and it ought to be done right. And if it's not done right, somebody ought to be held accountable and be asking why and make sure it's not done wrong next time. Is somebody out there really going to defend Dallas police that this is the first and only time they don't even get the sex right in the arrest affidavit, and they have a sergeant write the reports for all officers? Are you telling me that's the procedure in Dallas, that sergeants write all officers' reports now? I mean, I find that hard to believe, but it wouldn't surprise me because Dallas is so freaking incompetent and they keep hiring incompetent officers. They may need sergeants to do it because all the incompetent officers out there arresting people that don't have any alcohol in their system when they say they smell. This woman says she smelled alcohol. Not only did she smell alcohol on the woman when they took the blood that had 0, she said she smelt it in a McDonald's cup that was in the car. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so the name of the suspect, we're getting her name, her information, and this is information. So basically this sergeant, this affidavit, the sergeant's writing it. He's going to say, I'm the affiant. The affiant is the person who's writing this information. He has good reason to believe that on the 20th, the name of the suspect, Miss Graham, did then and there in the city of Dallas commit the offense of DUI with a child. And he believes that. Why? Because of what Miss Harris, officer, I smell alcohol everywhere because I'm only a hammer and everybody, all the citizens are a freaking nail. She smells alcohol that isn't there, and she sees confusion that's there because she's an idiot and can't explain things clearly. That's why this guy believes that this person committed this crime. So a sergeant is writing an affidavit because the officer that did it is too stupid or incompetent to write it, so he's writing it, but he's basing the affidavit on everything that she told him and what she did. Perfect. Anybody got any questions about incompetent government or how great law enforcement is and how we should always support them, even though they take away people's freedoms and rights and disparage them and give them records for life? Miss West has an arrest record now for life. 60 years on the planet, never been arrested. Guess what? She goes to dinner with her grandson, and now for life, she has an arrest record. Her fingerprints are in the FBI and the local system. Why? Because she took her grandson to dinner. Wow! Ain't America great? Freedoms. Yeah! Gotta love it. Man, support the police because they're your friends. They work for us. They're all heroes. Okay, here we go. Charge 1, DUI. On 8/20, at about 8:44, person Graham, Angela, was intoxicated. Really? She was intoxicated? So we're already setting the stage that he's already agreed that she's intoxicated. While operating a vehicle, this sounds like some planted standard. Somebody wrote this out of the section for DUI, and they just put this at the beginning of every DUI affidavit. So this guy didn't make up this up. This looks like a cut and paste type of thing, and then you change a few words. Angela was intoxicated operating vehicle, not from the test I saw, not according to her blood tests, not according to the person she had dinner with where they didn't drink. No. This is all on the person that was too stupid to write her own affidavit. We had to have the sergeant do it. Okay. And she was guilty because she introduced alcohol into her body. Actually, she didn't introduce alcohol, and there was no alcohol in her body, and the blood test showed that. But Rick, he's a police officer, and he said it, so it must be true, and the judge signed it, so it must be true. Why are you defending her just because you like Alan? This ain't about me liking Alan or not liking him. This is about holding government accountable. And did not have the normal use of her mental and physical faculties to operate. Really? She didn't? How do you know? But because you had already come to the conclusion that I smell alcohol that wasn't there, I think she's drunk, therefore she must be drunk. Therefore she didn't have mental control. I mean, this whole sentence is just like a bunch of presumptions and pre-decided conclusions based on little or no facts whatsoever, as you're going to see as we read this affidavit. I mean, this affidavit, it makes it even worse for me. But anyway, while operating a motor vehicle, public place, operated and arrested person, Graham Angela West, and an infant child. Oh my God, she took her grandson to dinner. Oh my God, 3 months old of age, was inside the vehicle. Okay, no shit. How else is she going to take him to dinner? What, you want her to call Star Trek and have her transport the child there and transport it back? Yeah, okay. What, I mean, give me a freaking break. Arresting officer, 8:44, arresting officer Harris, who is too incompetent to write her own report, saw a white SUV type Mercedes-Benz. Whoever wrote this report, I hate when cops do all capitals. You know why cops do all capitals? because they're too stupid to know when to make something capital and when it's not, and it shows their ignorance and lack of writing abilities. So we just make everything capital, and that way, and I've heard sergeants say that, dude, man, just make everything capital. That way we don't get something kicked back when somebody reads it because something should have been capital and it wasn't, and the comma's not in the right place, and there's not, it's not written. If you just make it all capital, then they can't complain. Oh, okay. It makes it hard as hell to read, but that's all right. Everyone else can have a problem. This makes it easier on the blue line and the incompetent. Okay, so we have to write in all caps, Mercedes-Benz Northwest Highway Security. It was dark outside. Okay, the street lighting, assist illumination. Okay, that's giving the road conditions and the lighting conditions. That's standard. Also, the road was dry and there was no rain. So that limits the damage. These things are usually done to either show increase or decrease of the violation. If it was wet, rainy, and stormy, and she was speeding and going across the line, that would be more serious than if it was dry, well lit, and she went across the line. To me, this means big deal. She went across the line. It was light. There was no rain. What did any car see? And that's another thing when you get into these laws where it's victimless. It's the state is the victim. The state has to go out and find things. We don't have a victim calling government saying, hey, I was victimized. There was a crime. I want to be the complainant, and I want police action. That's when cops used to get involved. Now, cops are bored because there's so many, and they're paid so well, and they have to go out and support stats and justify their job. So now they have to make themselves the victim, make the state the victim. It's just, all right, the road was wet. Observed a white SUV Mercedes. Okay, we got it, dude. It's a white SUV Mercedes. Can you just say SUV for the rest? No, Rick. He's a dummy, and he has to just keep saying white SUV type Mercedes and the whole freaking thing. All right. Texas tag. Harris observed the white Mercedes-Benz fail to signal when changing lanes. Okay, so I didn't look this up, but in most states, you only have to signal if you affect traffic. So if I'm not affecting traffic and I don't make somebody swerve and I don't pull in somebody and they have to brake or take evasive action to avoid it, a signal isn't necessary. A signal is only necessary if you affect other traffic and other traffic has to yield because you didn't use it. Again, we need a victim. This is a victim of crime. The cop, Miss I can't write my own reports, was so offended that she didn't use the signal, it gave her a reason to follow and to pick on this person. Okay, Harris observed the white type SUV Mercedes bearing a tag. Bearing a tag. Wow. Maybe the car had a license plate number so-and-so. Would have said the same thing. No, Rick, we have to make it sound official. Harris observed a white SUV type Mercedes was bearing a Texas tag. Wow. Nora, Tom, Sam, 2238. A.O. Harris. A.O. must be ignorant, whatever. I don't know, whatever. Arrogant. Let's see. Harris observed that the white Mercedes-Benz failed to signal while changing lane. The white Mercedes-Benz changed lanes and entered into the right lane. Whoa, crime of the century. Woohoo! I'm going to get to use my flashy lights and pull somebody over because they didn't use their turn signal, and I'm the law, and I'm out here to protect and to serve you pesky citizens. Wow! She probably got all excited. Yippee! I get to stop somebody. Harris then observed the white SUV enter into the shoulder. Okay, she did enter the circle. Travel in between the shoulder and the right lane. She did do that. I agree with that. The white SUV type Mercedes, white SUV type, how many times have we got to say this, was straddling the right lane of the shoulder. The white SUV type Mercedes continued to travel westbound to the Northwest Highway while getting further and further into the shoulder. It was in the shoulder for a little bit. I mean, you're writing this like she went miles. Why didn't you go... She traveled in the lane for 1/10 of a mile, or less than 1/10 of a mile, or for 2/10 of a mile. Why not be specific, Mr. Sergeant? Mr. Sergeant that stood there and watched this and didn't intervene. Mr. Sergeant that approved an arrest of a person with 0 alcohol in her system, and you agreed that she was drunk and wrote a warrant. Freaking, both of you guys are idiots. Rick, you can't call them idiots. They're public servants. They're going to pull you over and give you a ticket. Whatever. Freaking, that's the problem. They get to run around and threaten, and people are scared to call them out because they'll retaliate. You know what? I ain't that hard to find, Mr. Sergeant and Miss Officer who freaking runs around, can't write her own report. The white SUV type Mercedes. Anybody confused on what vehicle we're talking about? The white SUV-type Mercedes did not make any attempt to correct the action. Actually, that's correct. That's incorrect. She did attempt. Not only did she attempt, when she saw she was out of the lane, she pulled back into the lane. How the hell did she get back in the lane if she didn't make any action to correct? False statement, incorrect. Let's see. Any action of traveling on a shoulder, nor did the vehicle sender indicating this signal that she indicated. No shit. She did. Okay. So I guess this is to imply that she didn't mean to go into the lane. Therefore, she must be drunk. Oh my God, she didn't signal. And then she went to the lane and she didn't take any correct. She must be drunk. Let me arrest her. Oh my God, she's got a kid. I'm going to get a felony. Yeah. I can't write my own report. Maybe the sergeant will write it for me. A.O. Harris then initiated. Everything is what Harris did, and the cop's just writing it for her. I mean, it's crazy. A.O. Harris then initiated a traffic stop, 2300 black. The white SUV-type Mercedes. Whew, man, I'm glad to clear that up. I was kind of confused on what vehicle we're talking about. Bearing a license plate tag of Nora Tom Sam 2238, came to a complete stop in the middle of the lane on the 2300. Actually, she stopped because traffic stopped. There was a large truck in front of her. And because traffic stopped and there was a cop behind her, maybe she didn't want to pull off because you cops are freaking crazy with egomaniacs and you would have pitted her, which I have a video of a cop pitting somebody because they didn't pull over fast enough. And I have people getting shot because they didn't pull over and the cop thought they were going to run them over. So maybe she didn't want to move because you cops are so out of control that she decided to stop and say, I'll wait for the officer to tell me what to do. What did the officer do? He got out of the car and told her what to do. A.O. Harris then approached the vehicle and smelled a scent of alcohol. Really? Was it rubbing alcohol? Was it drinking alcohol? What kind of alcohol was it? And if you smelt a scent of it, are you sure it was coming from the car or from her person? Did you ask her if she spilt liquor? Did she have any liquor? Did you ask any? We don't know because Dallas police edited the video. So we don't know what conversation they had. Coming from within the car. Maybe the conversation showed what an idiot the officer was even more, that she couldn't write her own report. A.O. Harris observed the arrested person, Graham. She was already arrested? I mean, what? Are they saying she was arrested when she was pulled over? In my line of questioning, she was detained. You had probable cause to detain her. You did not have probable cause to arrest her. Maybe in Texas, because all traffic accidents are a freaking misdemeanor. When they do a traffic stop, you're under arrest. Let's see. Graham, the West also observed the arrested person Graham's West's whites of her eyes to be bloodshot red. I looked at the FST and I did not see bloodshot red in her eyes. And bloodshot red eyes is not the only indicator. The lack of slurred speech is a huge key of drunk driving. If somebody isn't slurring their words, they probably are not under the influence of alcohol enough to be impaired. I indicated no slurring of the words, and I did not see her eyes glassy, watery, or bloodshot. She did not have any signs of me. But then again, I'm a trained law enforcement officer with 30 years of experience. Miss A.O. Harris can't even write her own arrest report, but she still gets to put somebody in jail and force blood. We didn't get to the part where they got a warrant to take blood forcibly. Let's see. The vehicle smelled of a scent of alcohol come from a vehicle. Harris then observed the arrested person Graham's whites of her eyes to be bloodshot. Yeah, maybe she saw that because she thought she smelled alcohol. Maybe because she had already concluded that because she went over the white line, she must be drunk. And then she imaginary smelled alcohol. Then she imaginary saw the bloodshot eyes. Next thing you know, she imaginary failed the test because she didn't know how to explain it. And then next thing you know, they're forcing blood, and then the blood comes back with zero alcohol. And meanwhile, they're all saying, not my problem. I don't care. I did it. I'm by the law. I'm covered. You can't sue me. I got limited immunity. I got diplomatic immunity. I'm perfect. You can't sue me. Freaking crazy. Bloodshot eyes. Harris also observed there was an infant child in the back of the car seat. Well, see, that might give you a clue that maybe grandma took her grandson out to dinner. See, that might be a clue if you weren't just looking to hammer everything because you wanted to get an arrest. The back seat of the vehicle. Asked the arrested person, Graham, to pull over to the next road. A.I. Harris even pointed out the road. I saw the point. It was over a car. It was in traffic. There were bright lights. There was traffic coming by. I don't know how loud she was talking or how clear she was talking. Why? Because Dallas police cut out and edited that part of the video, so we don't know. All we know is this great, well-written report by a sergeant who didn't do anything, who's merely repeating what the female told him. Arrested Graham and pulled her over the lane into the next right lane, stayed there. Harris was instructed, the arrested Graham West, again to get off the main road and pull over in a less busy area. Okay, so what? You had to tell her twice to pull over because you weren't clear, because it was traffic, because she's confused by your bright lights, because she's got her grandson in a car and she doesn't know what's going on, because maybe she's calling somebody because she doesn't know why she feels like she's being targeted for no freaking reason, because you weren't clear in any of your explanations. None was Officer Harris clear about anything she did in this whole stop. Arrested person Graham's West reaction times were delayed. Maybe they were delayed because she's elderly. Maybe they were delayed because she was scared. Maybe they were delayed because she was confused. Maybe she was delayed because it was at night and the bright lights and you were screaming and there was traffic and she didn't want to make a mistake and she didn't want to do anything wrong and she knows her husband's a candidate for governor and she wanted to make sure and do everything correctly and not give you any reason to say that she was expecting. Maybe she was delayed because she was thinking about other than, I smell alcohol and I'm going to get me an arrest and I'm a police officer and you better obey. Maybe that's why her actions were delayed. Arrested person stated that the reason she was driving that way is she was listening to her GPS. Well, no shit. I'm always looking down at my GPS. I cross lanes. I look at my GPS. Cops look at their GPS. But Rick, cops are exempt. They're allowed to look at, yeah, that's the problem. See, they don't have to live by the same rules that they want to run around and arrest other people by. So cops can talk on their phone in a school zone anywhere. They can drive over the speed limit anywhere. They can ignore the laws anywhere. They can look at their GPS and go left to center and drive the wrong way on. They can do all that. But guess what? They're getting paid by taxpayers and they're giving government protection, which is why they should be held to a higher standard and quit with all this. We have to blindly support the police even when they're wrong. Arrested person Graham West was also talking on the phone. Okay. Maybe that's why she was distracted and delayed. Was talking on the phone with an unknown individual. Maybe she was calling her attorney friend saying, what the hell? Why are the cops here? Hey, just so you know, I'm getting pulled over. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. I haven't been drinking. I don't think I've done anything wrong. All right, whatever. Arrested person Graham West seemed confused. No shit. I watched the damn video and I was confused. And I wasn't even there with lights flashing, with my grandson in the back seat, with an inarticulate cop trying to freaking confuse me. I was confused, and I'm a trained officer who used to testify as an expert in court on these cases, and I'm confused. I'm still confused after reading this damn report. All right, here we go. Let's see. Arrested person Graham seemed confused and did not understand the initial commands. Maybe she was confused because the commands from Harris sucked. Maybe Harris is an inarticulate fool and didn't make it clear. Maybe Harris was so damn busy smelling alcohol that wasn't there that she was being confusing, that she was giving confusing commands. Maybe that's why she was confused. No, Rick, this is a sergeant writing this report, and we must believe what he said because they're always right and we must support them. Okay, arrested person Graham West finally, notice that word, implying that we've tried multiple times and this person is really pushing on our last nerve and is really being a pain in our butt. Graham finally pulled over a busy highway and entered onto a less congested street. Yeah, it was congested. There was a lot of traffic. There was lights in her eyes, and she did stop, and there was confusion. So what? It doesn't mean that she should be arrested. You should threaten to take her kid into protective custody and put it in freaking foster care. Harris asked the arrested person Graham to step out of the vehicle. Harris conducted a check of the arrested person's eyes and found the arrested person did have involuntary. So when they said a check of the eyes, I think they're talking about what we used to call the HGN, the horizontal gaze nystagmus, what we used to call it. It says nystagmus. Nystagmus is an involuntary jerking of the eye. That's the definition of nystagmus. If you say nystagmus or look it up, it normally says that's an involuntary jerking of the eye. So, and all eyes can have nystagmus because of head injury, because of head trauma, because of an accident. I mean, the eyes do a lot of things. The pupils can, go up and down. You get hippus. You get, if you're on multiple drugs, your pupils will do what's called hippus. It'll pulsate with your heart. So your pupil actually goes up and down, up and down, up and down. When you see hippus, you automatically know a person's got usually a lot of drugs on board and has multiple drugs on board. But you can get hippus from a large head on the head. So if you're doing a test on someone who's been in an accident or had head trauma, you need to consider that. So there's other factors, not just a jerking eye. Oh my God, she must be drunk. Oh my God, she went left to center. She must be drunk. Oh my God, her eyes are bloodshot. Maybe because she's tired. Maybe because there's bright lights in it. Maybe she has bloodshot eyes. Some people just have bloodshot eyes. Maybe no. Her eyes are bloodshot. She must be drunk. Now she has an involuntary jerking. She must be drunk. I mean, it's just, this is a typical case of confirmation bias. The cops wanted to see everything that led them to believe that she was drunk. They saw it. They arrested her. They took away her freedom. They caused her loss of money, of freedom. They gave her an arrest record, for a permanent arrest record for the rest of her life, because they saw what they wanted to see. Confirmation bias right here. An involuntary jerking, nystagmus in her right eye. Remember, she said she had something with her right eye, some sort of medical condition. They cut it out. While she was focusing on Harris pen stimulus while looking to the right. Okay? So what they're saying is when they moved the pen to the right and her eyes went to the right, she had a nystagmus. Okay, but when you only get nystagmus on one eye, again, that's an indicator that it's not alcohol related. It could be related to something else. Normally, you don't get nystagmus for alcohol on one eye. You get it on both eyes, and they're usually both pretty much the same because they're both working together. So to have nystagmus on one eye, for me, being a drug recognition expert and done many DUIs, and use the HTN many times, when I get a one-eye nystagmus, I immediately think, okay, this isn't related to alcohol. This doesn't support that this person is on the influence. Not this young, inexperienced officer Harris who can't write her own report. She has to, as a sergeant, justify it for her. Conducted a check to the report and found, okay, a nystagmus in the right eye. Arrested person Graham West. Appearance was not crisp. Really? Man, if I was a defense attorney, I'd eat this shit up. Now, remember, this ain't going to court. It wasn't crisp. Please, officer, describe what crisp is. Describe what not crisp is. Describe, am I crisp? Is the judge crisp? Is the jury crisp? Please explain to me how you tell if someone is crisp or not. And the officer, they've been taught this, and they've been asked this, and I'm sure the answer would sound really cool, like, well, it's a clear indication that the response time to questions and her actions and her whole demeanor just didn't appear normal, as if a person that would be displaying these behaviors that isn't under the influence. So that would be the roundabout bullshit answer that you would give, and someone on the jury would be like, oh, okay, the cop said it, it must make sense. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Whatever. Arrested person Graham's West hair looked ungroomed. Really? So now if you don't comb your hair, you are under the influence. Are you freaking kidding me? We are now arresting people because your hair isn't combed? What the? Now look, you can say there's a term that a lot of drunks who are really drunk, they'll have a strong odor of alcohol. They'll have slurred words. They'll have confusion when they talk. They can't make coherent sentences. They'll repeat sentences. They'll be emotional. They will cry and laugh. That's not consistent. These are all things that will tell you when somebody's really drunk. A lot of times if someone is really drunk, they have fallen, they will roll on the street, they won't tuck their pants in after they go to the bathroom, they'll have their shirt untucked, it'll be buttoned the wrong way. I mean, when you're dealing with a really drunk, there is a term that is called the person looked ungroomed and disheveled. Okay? And that may be the hair was messed up, the clothes wasn't fitting, it wasn't tucked in. This is when you would use this ungroomed. They are using this. I mean, this woman obviously was dressed nice coming from dinner with her grandchild, and they're using that she looked like her hair wasn't groomed. Really? Are you kidding me? Man, you talk about reaching, trying to justify confirmation bias. I smelled alcohol. I saw her first swerve over. Her eyes are bloodshot. Oh, she didn't comb her hair. You talk about comfort. I mean, none of her behavior was that of a drunk person. I mean, it's just outrageous what they did to this woman. An arrested person had a few wet stains on the top of her shirt. So, If I drink from a bottle and my glass has dew because it's cold and it's hot out in Texas, and a little bit of dew drops on my shirt, now all of a sudden I could be drunk because I have wet stains on my shirt? Are you freaking... Is this what Miss Harris, who can't write her own report, thinks somebody is drunk? Okay, people of Texas, be aware if you're in Dallas. Do not let a drink drip on your shirt, and make sure your hair is groomed, or the great high qualified agents of the Dallas Police Department will assume you're drunk and will arrest you. If you have bloodshot eyes because of the pollen in the air in Texas, because of the humidity, because you didn't get enough sleep, because you just woke up, or because you're tired, be aware, in Dallas, you will be arrested for drunk driving, because our officers in Dallas are there to protect and serve the shit out of you. Out freaking rages. A.O. Harris then asked arrested person Graham preliminary questions. All right, what's the preliminary questions? Let's see here. Conducting standard field sobriety tests. Oh, we don't get the questions. Oh, maybe we will. Here we're down here. Let's see. The person Graham West stated that she was coming from P.F. Chang's. She was having dinner with an attorney. Arrested person Graham stated that she was traveling home. Arrested person Graham stated, okay, we got it. Whoever wrote this, Sergeant Mr. Writer of all caps, so you can't show your ignorance because you don't know when to capitalize shit. We get it. Arrested person Graham is who you're talking to. Where the hell am I? I've said Graham so many damn... I mean, this is like written... Like, I mean, if somebody wrote this way in high school, the English teacher would go, dude, you're writing like an idiot. I don't need you to say this every time. But this is what your qualified sergeant, experienced supervisor type in Dallas Police Department write like. Perfect. Okay. Person Graham stated she was traveling home. Arrested person Graham stated she had astigmatism. Arrested person Graham stated, West, stated that she had consumed, is that Chilean sea bass? What the hell is that? I don't even know what that is. I know what sea bass is. Sea bass was in Dumb and Dumber. That was the guy in the place that said, say sea bass, he just said so. Anyway, let's see. Stated that she had consumed it an hour before A.O. Harris began questioning her. Now, sometimes it's important that you want to know when the last time they've ate, because that can affect a breath test. Also, you want to know what they ate, because before you give a breath test, you're supposed to observe the person. It used to be 15 minutes. I don't know if it's longer or less now. It used to be you have to observe somebody 15 minutes to make sure they don't drink anything, and they don't cough up anything, and they don't accidentally vomit in their mouth a little bit. You can't do the breath test, because if you drink alcohol and you vomit, your blood alcohol is going to be really high if I give you the breath test right after you vomit. You've blown up all that alcohol, your vomited alcohol, so now your breath is going to be much more pungent, and it's going to mess up the test. So that's why you're supposed to keep somebody under constant observation before you do a breath test, to make sure they aren't chewing gum, they didn't drink mouthwash, they didn't have a sip of water, they're not rinsing their mouth out with something that contains alcohol, etc. So those are kind of standard questions, like when was the last time you ate or drank or something like that. If they were doing it for that reason, they're not being very articulate, so I don't know why they were doing it. Maybe they just wanted to know what P.F. Chang serves, because that's where they were trying to plan to go to dinner after they arrest this person and get their big felony arrest for the night. Okay, that she had consumed it an hour before Harris began questioning person. Arrested person Graham West. Arrested person Graham West. Arrested person Graham West. Okay, we get it. Arrested person Graham West stated that she had not had any alcohol to drink. Arrested person Graham stated that the white Mercedes-Benz, white in color, bearing intact. Oh, here we are, bearing. We have a misspelling. Breading the tag? Is that breading? Did we change? Is there a new word here? Or it's supposed to be bearing? Rick, he just made one little... they don't have spell check? Spell check doesn't work a lot of times when you use all caps. So that's another good reason to use all caps for all you cops out there who want to be great. Let's see. I mean, writing all caps is so freaking rookie ignorant. Let's see. Harris asked the arrested person if she would be willing to perform. Notice she asked if she would be willing to perform, because you don't have to do FSTs anywhere. People don't do FSTs. FSTs is called Field Sobriety Test. Or let's see, FST, Field Sobriety Test. Okay? A lot of times they're called roadside tests. Or roadside evaluation. So there's different terms. Most cops just call it FST, Field Sobriety Test. So they asked her if she would be willing to do some field sobriety tests. The arrested person replied by saying yes. She should have said no. I'm willing to do what's required by law, which is give blood, breath, or urine, whatever the law is now. I don't know if they even still take urine. They may not. I noticed they did take her to the hospital to take blood. And I don't know why. I thought it used to be the person's choice. I could choose blood, breath, or urine. Cops didn't get to choose. Maybe cops can choose now, and maybe they choose blood. If I choose, I would choose blood because blood gives me a sample that can be retested later. It can also test for drugs. So as a cop, from a prosecution point, I want to take blood because that's going to give me the best evidence. There's less chance of anything. It also, blood will usually give you a little bit higher alcohol content than breath. You can be a 0 on a breath, take blood, and be an 01, 02. So breath is not as accurate as blood, which is why most of your career drunks who have been educated by the system will always take breath instead of blood. Maybe you can't choose anymore. I don't know why they took blood from her. But anyway, let's see. A.O. Harris conducted field sobriety tests. Very shitty and very unconclusive in her directions. But anyway, horizontal gaze nystagmus 1/6 cues observed. So they're saying that during the HGN, horizontal gaze nystagmus, during the HGN, she had lack of smooth pursuit, right eye only. Again, we have a person that told us she had a right injury or something with her right eye wrong, and we're only getting problems with the right eye. That's a clue. We call that a clue for all you officers out there that can't figure that shit out. If it's only one eye, it's probably not alcohol related. Anyway, distinct and distinct nystagmus at maximum deviation. Okay, maximum deviation. You usually always get some jerking at maximum. That's normal. That's not an indicator of alcohol. Onset of nystagmus at prior to 45 degrees, no clues observed. So if you get jerking before you're at a 45 degree, normally that means there's something on board or you're getting something on inside. Vertical gaze nystagmus was no, meaning up and down. And again, if you get vertical, normally that means you got drugs on board and or you're over like a 2.0 or 2.5. When you're really, really super crazy drunk, you'll get a I had people do a test good and were driving perfect and only got pulled over because somebody called and ratted them out and they did everything perfect and they had a vertical gaze nystagmus. I mean, but that's a career drunk is very good at hiding all that. Anyway, walk and turn, 2 of 8 cues. She had sandals on. They were on concrete and it was dry. Things that weren't here as a defense attorney, I noticed you didn't put that you had flashing lights, that you had blocked in the lane, that you had bright lights on, that you had your spotlight on, that you had your 1200 lumen flashlight on. All these shadows and lights, and there were street lights and there were cars coming by. You didn't put any of that down, did you? Well, you know, not really. I was just looking for the things that kind of helped me. Okay. Let's see. Harris asked arrested person, who's the arrested person? How come we're not saying arrested person, so-and-so stated? Okay. Ask arrested person if she would like to walk with or without her shoes. Arrested person replied she would rather walk. What it sounds like here is the sergeant just wrote this report from a video. The more I'm reading this, the more I'm thinking the sergeant just wrote the report from a video. Harris didn't tell him any of this shit. And if I was a defense attorney, I'd be in here and asking that. But again, this ain't going to trial. But for other people who are fighting DUIs, if you got someone else writing a report, that's a clue. If you got someone else writing a report just from the video, that's a clue. Because it says in here, AO, he's saying what she did, but at the beginning it says on information provided to him. I guess you could go, it was provided third party. You might be able to argue hearsay here. You didn't talk to Harris and she didn't tell you that. Therefore, it's hearsay. But there's hearsay exceptions that you can get it in for officers and government and, you know, dying declarations, whatever. But that's legal crap. Anyway, all right. She missed her hotel, incorrect number of steps. She did the walk and turn multiple times as she was instructed by Harris. Arrested person took too many steps. Well, yeah, because the instructions sucked and because Harris wasn't telling her what to do very clearly and there was traffic and loud noise and bright lights. Maybe that's why she did that. I mean, this whole test was just a complete joke. All right. Use his arm for balance. She did use her arm for balance. That's correct. The arrested person raised her arms and she used them for balance. Okay, I got it. She's 60 years old. She's not in the greatest shape. She's not out there running marathons. She's nervous. She's in sandals. She's got bright lights. She's worried about her kid in the car. Her husband's running for governor. Gee, I can't imagine why a woman might be a little distracted and might use her arms. I mean, this is where you get this only cops are robots when they want their arrest. Swerved left the center, smelled alcohol, bloodshot eyes, wasn't following directions, confused, she must be drunk, let's ruin her life, give her a record. No problem. We have no accountability. We're not going to get in trouble with that. What do we have to lose by doing this? What did these officers lose by doing an incompetent on arresting the wrong person? They didn't lose anything. As a matter of fact, they got support from their chief saying they did everything right. So now you can literally ruin a person's life, give them a lifelong arrest record, put them in jail, expose them to COVID, cost them physical money, get their names smeared throughout the land. You can do all that and be wrong, and the government still says you're right and praises you. Man, ain't America great? Yeah, that's how we need more government. All right. A.O. Harris is a certified SFFT practitioner. Really? She was certified and she did that shitty of a job? Who the hell certified her? Maybe the sergeant certified her. And he can't say that she did a shitty job because then it'd show that he's a shitty supervisor. Maybe that's what happened. Harris believed that arrested person Graham West, Angela, was intoxicated due to the introduction of alcohol into her body. Really? You had no indication. She said she didn't drink. You said you smelled alcohol. You never said you smelled alcohol on her or coming from her breath. You never said that she smelled and reeked of alcohol like most people do. Most people who are really drunk will reek alcohol because it's sweating through their pores and you can smell them. You know what you smell like with a hangover after you drink. That's what people smell. And when you're not drunk, you smell it more. It's like a non-smoker smelling your clothes when you walk in and you've been smoking. I can tell that you're a smoker and you've been smoking. I dated a girl that tried to trick me and say she wasn't smoking. And I was like, dude, why are you telling me you're not smoking? I smell it on you. No. And she'd put perfume on and she'd spray and she'd go snake a cigarette. But whatever. I mean, look, it's not rocket science, people. We're not talking about you have to do physics and algebra to figure out this shit. This is basic common sense, but you have to be able to apply reasonableness. Is this reasonable what they did? According to the police chief, it is. According to the sergeant who wrote this, it is. And according to Harris, it is. According to blood tests, it's all unreasonable because everything they said was freaking wrong. The only thing that they got right, she did swerve over the line and she did use her hands for balance. That's it. So far, that's all they got right, in my opinion. In my opinion, you can have it. You can tell me I got it wrong and I'm a meanie and I'm picking on the poor police, whatever. All right. And they're saying that Miss Angela did not have normal use of her mental and physical faculties. Really? I didn't see any of that. And was unsafe to operate. I didn't see that she was unsafe at all. Arrested person Graham West, Angela was placed under arrest. Wow. Because you're a freaking idiot, she was placed under arrest. A.O. Harris checked arrested person Graham West's vehicle for any open containers. A.O. Harris located a McDonald's cup that was in the center of the console and that was well within reach of the arrested person. Oh my God. You mean some car manufacturer put a cup holder that was in reach of the driver? Holy shit. They ought to be writing a warrant out for freaking whoever did the car, who built the car, that a cup holder would actually be in reach of a driver. But see, they say it in this report in this nefarious way that it implies guilt. And she was drinking while she was driving because her cup holder in the center console of a car that was designed by somebody who wants to encourage drunk driving allowed her to have a McDonald's cup in a cup holder. Are you freaking kidding me? You talk about confirmation bias. You talk about throwing some bullshit. Jesus Christ. Arrested person here smelled in the cup and smelled a scent of alcohol. Well, no shit. She also smelled it in the car and it wasn't there. She also thought the person was drunk and there was no alcohol in her system. Pretty much A.O. Harris is a freaking idiot and incompetent. I mean, anybody that gets arrested by Harris in the future, I hope the public defender or the defender of that person has this report or watches this video. Because A.O. Harris is a freaking incompetent idiot. She can't even write her own reports. Rick, you can't say that. She's a woman and you just hate women. And she's black and you hate black people. And she's a cop and you hate cops. And you can't say anything because you just hate them all. All right, whatever. She's freaking an incompetent idiot with a power to pull a gun and kill somebody. She has the ability to take away someone's freedom and put them in jail and take their child and put it in protective custody. She has the ability to steal your child from you. And she is this incompetent. And the police chief said she did a good job. And the sergeant wrote the report for her, said she did a good job. Really? Man, you people in Dallas must feel safe as shit with this type of policing. All right, where are we at here next? Statutory warning. A.O. Harris, read the statutory warning. Normally we call this implied consent. This is basically saying, hey, you're being arrested for drunk driving. You need to you're required by law to submit to blah, 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 blah. Will you submit? Your license will be suspended if you don't, automatically, blah, blah, blah. This is basically coercion and threats telling you, we're going to screw you over if you don't do this. And then most people do it. All right. Arrested person Graham West provided statutory warning and requested arrested person Graham West to provide a blood specimen for analysis. Arrested person Graham consented to the drawing of the blood. A.O. Harris and arrested person Graham made it Parkland? What? Arrested person Graham West made it Parkland Hospital. Dude, no wonder the sergeant has to write the officer's report. Because if the sergeant is this freaking incompetent and can't write a report, ain't no damn wonder a little patrolman that's out there arresting people can't write their own report. What a freaking... Oh, but Rick, it's all caps, so we don't have to use punctuation, and we don't have to worry. Okay, arrested person Graham West. Arrested person Graham West made it. Person Graham West withdrew. What the... Hang on, people. I'm going to do it slow, because I know people... Rick, you're just reading it fast. You're making it sound bad. Okay. A.O. Harris and arrested person Graham West made it Parkland Hospital. Maybe made it to. Maybe drove to hospital. Maybe went to the hospital, maybe arrived at the hospital. Would that be more clear? Rick, you're just trying to be an English major and pick whatever. And waited in the family room. Upon entry of the nurse, arrested person Graham West withdrew her consent and refused to the taking of blood specimen and stated that she wanted to talk to a lawyer. Okay, so I'm not sure this. When I read this, I was a little confused. I'm like, okay, so what happened? Obviously, she was probably on the phone talking to somebody, or somebody told her, or she was confused and said, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should, I don't know. Maybe someone called or went and advised her not to. I don't know. But for some reason, she withdrew her consent after she was at the hospital. Why did she do that? I don't know. To be honest, I don't care. It's not a big deal. They went and got a warrant and they drew blood anyway, which I'm kind of glad, because that she just withdrew her consent and they said, okay, we're not going to take any blood. Now they would be claiming that she was obviously drunk. That's why she didn't want us to take blood. But the fact that she didn't have any drugs or alcohol in her system, now they can't say she withdrew her consent because she was trying to hide. Now they have to come up with another reason. Maybe she was nervous. Maybe she was confused. Maybe she felt like she was getting railroaded. Maybe she, was worried about her grandson. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons on why she withdrew. Maybe she had time to think when there wasn't cars driving around. Maybe she had advice from somebody. So we don't know why she withdrew. Whatever. I don't really care. A.O. Harris had to apply for an affidavit for search warrant in lieu of the Dallas jailhouse. What is that? Lou Surratt? Is that a name of a jailhouse? Surratt? Or is that supposed to be Lou Street Jail? Or Lou Surratt? Whatever. A.O. Harris. Badge number 11792. Ooh, man. Completed the affidavit for a search warrant. Really? She did an affidavit for a search warrant? She couldn't write her own damn police report? She got a sergeant writing it for her? I don't even believe she completed an affidavit for a search warrant. And the warrant signed by Magistrate Shasta Brown, Magistrate, Dallas County, Texas. Woo! Shasta Brown gave toxicology. Arrested person Graham West was transported to Parkland Hospital to complete the blood draw. AOS and arrested person Graham, AOS, arresting officer something, I don't know. AOS and arrested person Graham West arrived at Parkland at approximately 9:44 p.m. on 8/21. 2 tubes of blood were drawn from the arrested person. Now, this blood was taken due to a warrant. That means it was against her will, against her consent. Government, based on all this bullshit information that turned out not to be true and inaccurate, the government issued a warrant and they forcibly took fluid from this woman. And she didn't do anything wrong to deserve this except go over the line. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. She used her arms for balance. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. her eye from an injury. One eye had nystagmus. Oh, yeah. So government took 2 tubes of blood. What happened to your body? What happened to your body and your... What happened to that? Well, that only counts, Rick, when government wants to allow you. Oh, okay. I just thought, you know, the left is always screaming about your body, but it doesn't count when the government wants your blood to arrest you because you're a conservative person running for governor. Again, we don't know when or if they ever knew this was the governor's or potential governor's wife. Arrested person Graham West's arm at 8:20. The blood was drawn by registered nurse and witnessed by AO, arresting officer Harris. The 2 tubes of blood were placed into Lou Charette blood drop box. Normally, when you draw blood, there's a little evidence box that you drop the blood in this box. You can't retrieve it. It's locked with a key. It's like a mailbox. And then the person who opens it has to sign and say, and then for a chain of custody, when they open the box, they say, because there may be 12 tubes of blood come the morning, you know, if they've arrested 12 people and took blood. So there's all this blood in there. So in the morning, the person takes the key, takes all the blood out, and then it's logged into evidence. On this date, so-and-so. So there's an evidence log on where this blood went, who tested, etc. Arrested person Graham West was transported to the jail. Arrested person Graham West, oh, it wasn't West here, it's just arrested person, was given a copy of the statutory warning along with her notice of suspension and periods of suspension. So when you're arrested for drunk driving, you lose your license immediately, even before you had a trial, even before you prove guilty. You're automatically guilty and you lose your license, which is bullshit. Now, sometimes you can petition the court if you have a job to get a temporary license to and from work and things like that. Again, it's just more government bullshit. You got to pay fees. You got to pay somebody. It's more hassle on you. I mean, our founders knew that government was out of control and that they put the Constitution, that people always tell me, Rick, you're anti-government. Our founders were anti-government because we both, me and my founders, understand how government does and what they do and how bad they can be. So I am anti-government, and so was our founders, and that's why our Constitution was given to us, because it was anti-government and wanted to control government and wanted to stop government from doing things that we know government will do over time if they give them the opportunity or chance, which they are doing because they're slowly eroding away the Constitution. But anyway, statutory warning, arrested person Graham West was identified by a Florida driver's license that was on her person, a check of Let's, which is probably like, we call it CLETS, California. This is Texas law enforcement terminal system where you check for warrants. And it revealed her clear. Wow. You know what? If you ran arrested person Graham West today, it would show she was arrested for drunk driving. It would show disposition has dismissed. But for the rest of her life, she will show she was arrested for drunk driving. But Rick, she shouldn't have went over the line, and those cops are just doing their jobs, and we should support them. And come on, people, stop with the blind support of tyrannical, abusive government. All right? And Shasta Brown, judge, Miss, I don't know how to freaking read, and I can't tell the difference between a male and a female. Perhaps you should review the warrant you're signing. Rick, you can't say that. She's a judge in Dallas County. I don't give a shit. She's a freaking lawyer, probably an incompetent lawyer that was appointed by some left-wing idiot. My guess is this Shasta Brown is not a conservative governor fan. And I don't care if it's conservative Governor West fan or any conservative governor fan. So did she know that this was West when she signed this? That would be another nice question that should be answered. All right, shit, I'm at 58 minutes. I'm going to put a link on my website. If you want to click, I'll put the link in the description. You can view this and read it without me, because I know I'm going to have people complaining, Rick, you went too fast. Rick, you misread. Rick, you missed a word. Rick, oh, I get it. I'm not perfect either. But you know what? I'm not putting people in jail and taking away their freedoms and subjecting them to COVID and fines and loss of their license. So I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm okay to make a mistake. You people want to say, oh, well, the poor officer made a mistake. No, 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 no. Not when you're dealing with someone's lives and their liberty. You should not be excused for making unreasonable mistakes. This mistake was not unreasonable. It was not necessary. It was not prudent to the safety of anybody. This was about getting a felony arrest stat and everybody supporting. The sergeant supported the blue line, and the chief supported the blue line, and the judge supported the blue line, and we all got to support the blue line. Meanwhile, a woman who went out and had freaking dinner with her grandson now has an arrest record for the rest of her freaking life that she didn't have before. She was subjected to COVID search and put in freaking jail. That's not a mistake, people. All right, we'll end that there. Freaking get wired up every time I talk about this crap. All right, y'all have a good one.